As we head into 2026, crypto markets are facing headwinds after key legislation, the Clarity Act, stalled when Coinbase pulled its support late last week. While CEO Brian Armstrong cited concerns that crypto owners would not be able to earn yield from stablecoins. And at Davos at the World Economic Forum, Armstrong and Bank of France chief did debate stablecoins, Bitcoin, as well as U.S. crypto rules. Now, Armstrong supported stablecoin yields for competition, while the chief, Villeroy, warned of risks to monetary control, and both agreed that innovation as well as regulation need to work together. Well, joining us from Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum is Max Berndt, Managing Director at TaxPick Europe and Global Head of Regulatory Affairs. Max, great to have you here. So first, tell me about the gathering this year on the ground. A lot of focus on geopolitics, of course. How would you describe the atmosphere and the vibe that's on the ground there?
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, being here also like in my third year now, it's been quite different this year, definitely with Donald Trump coming in and a lot of key leaders gathering around the US president, bringing a lot of attention to Davos on a global stage, right? So there's been a lot of talks and crypto was one of the number one priorities. This is what we have really seen. We see a lot of AI, longevity, and environmental impact that is also being discussed. But with crypto being so strong in the news and also with Trump highlighting it in his speech, it's definitely been a priority of the conversations.
Yes, and expanding on that, crypto regulations are changing across major global markets. So do you think regulators are moving toward a more coordinated global approach to crypto?
It's a very, very good question. At the end of the day, what we are seeing is that there have been certain jurisdictions, like especially in the European Union, that have been very much being on the forefront of regulation, like it's been the case in other sectors as well historically. Now with the US also launching its Genius Act and getting ready regulation for stablecoins, we do see other countries moving ahead as well. We see the UAE, we see a fractionalized approach still, but at the end of the day, very much international standards are developing and setting the groundwork for institutions to move into this space. So if we look at the year 2025, it's been very much a year of stablecoins, right? And the reason being that the years before that, it was very much the years of regulation. So right now we already have the underlying regulation and there's more and more regulation to come, which is often being translated from the traditional markets into the crypto asset space. But they really set the groundwork for the increasing institutional adoption.
Yeah, and Max, before we move away from regulation, give us your take on how the US Genius Act and the EU's MiCA framework compare in practice.
It's a very, very good question and one that we discussed quite a lot in Davos as well. At the end of the day, one must say that MiCA, like the European Union Markets in Crypto Asset Regulation, was the first comprehensive framework on stablecoins that applies across many jurisdictions. I feel that one of the biggest difference between the US Genius Act and the European Union's MiCA is that the US Genius Act very much involves also an equivalence regime. So basically, if you have a stablecoin operator that operates outside of the United States, an issuer, for example, and they comply with requirements that would be similar to the US rules, they would still be able to operate in the United States, given they meet certain parameters, of course. In the European Union, on the other hand, MiCA does not foresee any of these equivalence regimes. So it's very, very hard to operate within the European Union if you are not on the ground and without having a MiCA license.
And finally, Max, before I let you go, do these policies signal real transatlantic alignment, or would you say that key differences are still in place?
There are still key differences in place, especially amongst the prudential regimes, right? Whereas on the other hand, with compliance regimes, we do see a trend towards global harmonization. And this is very much in the space of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing rules, as well as also in the financial transparency regimes, including tax information reporting frameworks under the OECD, such as the crypto asset reporting framework.
Well, Max, great to have you join us all the way from Davos, Switzerland. Thank you so much for your insights as well as your perspective.
Thank you very much.